Hi guys, Craig here. I wasn't expecting to do this update, and I know I say that a lot, but seriously this one is probably the most important update I've done today. I don't want to waffle too much. I've not done a script. I need to get this out of the way because I've got other things I need to concentrate on. But it's very important that I do this update and get this out there. As you all have gathered from the title, due to the threats I've now received from the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner Katy Bourne and her Surrey-based solicitors, Weightmans LLP. So what I'm going to do is now show you the threatening letter that I've received from them. I'll quickly go through that and then I'll show you my response to that. I want to be as quick as I can. I don't want to have to edit this too much, and I'm going to try not to go off on tangents or ad-lib too much, but do bear with me. It's getting late now and my medication's worn off and I'm very tired, and I've also got a cold. So that aside, I'm going to whip through it now, so let's do this. This is a letter I received. It's dated the 29th of May, and it's from Weightmans LLP, Surrey Police Legal Services Department, and it says, "Dear Mr. Chan, Office of the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner, injunctive warning. This is a formal legal letter. You're advised not to ignore it. It is recommended that you seek legal advice. I am the solicitor representing the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner and her officers. Background: you are aware that Katy Bourne and her office have been the target of a long-running campaign by the number of people alleging corruption. One of these people is already subject to an injunction in respect to the distribution, online or otherwise, of material regarding OSPCC, which is the Office of the Sussex Police Crime Commissioner. There is a defined route for complaints, as you were advised in the letter to you from the Sussex Police Crime Commissioner's Office dated the 18th of May 2018. That route was to appeal to the Sussex Police Professional Standards Department, PSD, within 28 days of date of that letter. Publication and distribution of material. There is a website which can be found, sussex-police-corruption.co.uk. This contains information alleging corruption on part of the OSPCC and the Sussex Police. It publishes a letter to the OSPCC from you in January 2019. It is also clear that you are part of an organised group seeking to persecute the OSPCC and asking for crowdfunding to continue with the escalate your campaign. The OSPCC has now been contacted by a member of the public who has complained about literature which has been posted through their letterbox. I attach a copy of the photographs of the flyer which has been received and has triggered this complaint. In addition, you have posted videos on YouTube and my YouTube channel in which you repeat your allegations against Katy Bourne and OSPCC. Protection from Harassment Act 1997, the Act. As a member of the public, you are of course entitled to make a complaint to the police if you are dissatisfied with aspects of the service which you have received from them. You have waged a lengthy campaign against the Sussex Police Force and Sussex Police Crime Commissioner. In your various emails, correspondence, online publications and flyers, you make a number of deliberate attacks on the personal and professional integrity of Katy Bourne and the OSPCC. Your claims of criminality are clearly designed to cause Katy Bourne and officers alarm and distress. Relevant parts of the Act as follows. 1. Prohibition of harassment. A person must not proceed with the course of conduct A, which amounts to harassment of another, and B, which he knows or ought to know amounts to harassment of the other. For the purpose of this section, the person whose course of conduct is in question ought to know that it amounts to or involves harassment of another. A reasonable person in possession of the same information would think the course of conduct amounted to harassment of the other. It's very difficult to envisage a situation where a court would not find your conduct amounted to harassment in breach of the Act. The Act provides the following defence to harassment. 3. Subsection 1 does not apply to a course of conduct if the person who pursued it shows that it's pursued for the purpose of preventing or detecting crime. B. That it was pursued under any enactment of the rule for law to comply with a condition to requirement imposed by any person under the enactment, or that it, in the particular circumstances, the pursuit of the course of conduct was reasonable. You would only have a defence if you established, and the burden of proof is on you, that the conduct falls within one of the exceptions in section 131. Case law in respect of section 132 states that the purpose is a subjective state of mind, and it is also subject to a control mechanism to be found in the concept of rationality, where the conduct is irrational, perverse, abusive or grossly unreasonable. Cannot fall within section 138. The Police and Crime Commissioner of Sussex and the OSPCC are of the view that your continued behaviour is undertaking the above activities is irrational, perverse, abusive and grossly unreasonable. Going forwards, I am instructed by the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner and her office to apply for an injunction restraining your behaviour if you do not take the following action. Remove the website sussexpolicecorruption.co.uk from the internet, including Google Cache. Guidance from Google can be found on the following links. Send that to Google. Refrain from sending any further emails from that email address. Refrain from sending any further emails referring to Katy Bourne or offices. Remove all content related to Katy Bourne or SPCC which has been posted on YouTube channel or any other YouTube channels. Cease publishing or requiring, encouraging or permitting any others to publish materials pertaining to the allegations of which you repeatedly make against Katy Bourne and the OSPCC online, paper format or any other. Unless you comply with the above in 14 days, I am instructed to automatically apply to the court for an injunction against you without further reference to you. Please be advised that I will seek the costs occasioned by the injunction application from you should my client's application be necessary and succeed. If you're unclear of anything in the letter, then please contact solicitor to the earliest opportunity. You are recommended to seek legal advice with respect of this matter. Yours sincerely, Gilly Jones, solicitor on behalf of Weightmans. Then on the end of that was the flyer they referred to and the reverse side. So I just want to quickly cover really the letter, which is, you know, ridiculous in places. States here that I'm not aware of any campaign by a number of people. Who are these people? The defined route, yes, I've made lots of complaints and they've ignored me, and I've been complaining and campaigning, and I've got a petition and I've got crowdfunding and I've got my YouTube channel, and I'm going to continue to seek justice as a disabled victim of crime as in my right until the police do what they're meant to do, which is give me assistance as a disabled victim of crime, and I have the evidence to prove it. It talks about the website. Yes, I have a website. I'm entitled to have a website to advertise my campaign and to seek funding to help me with the legal costs of holding those accountable to account. It says it's been contacted by a member of the public. Well, it's interesting because I actually posted the only ones that I've posted are about 20 flyers. Let me just I got, as you know, in one of the videos I did before, let me just get it out. Here it is. Some leaflets I had done up. I did do a video covering these, but you know, just so you know, this is it. Tiny little leaflet. I put this through. It wasn't on the EU elections, it was the previous council election, so a little while ago. I can't remember the exact date that was. And actually, I live on a road and it's intersected by two other roads. And I went from 200 to 240, and as they go up in number 2 increments, that's actually 20 households. So yeah, one of the neighbours. Awkward. But anyway, and this is it. This is what it says. Holding the Sussex Police Crime Commissioner Katy Bourne to account for malfeasance in office, and a web address. Yes, I'm entitled to hold anyone in office to account if I believe that they have been involved in misconduct. Malfeasance means misconduct. I use malfeasance, misfeasance. Anyway, I'll cover that in my email. As you see, it says, it asks 3 questions. Are you a disabled victim of crime? Have you experienced police corruption? Have you been denied justice and police services? And then there's a little paragraph. Sussex Police are failing to provide the services and support needed to ensure victims of crime, especially disabled, receive the justice they deserve. Help us fight back, join the campaign, and let's hold Katy Bourne, Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner to account. Get in touch, and an email address. Harassment. It's a small leaflet that says I'm trying to do a legal thing, hold someone in elected office to account for not doing what they should be doing in office. I'm allowed to say that, aren't I? I ask 3 simple questions. Are you disabled? Are you a victim of police corruption? And have you been denied police services? I'm stating the Sussex Police are failing to provide the services. Well, they are, especially to me, and as you know, there are other people that have contacted me and said, yes, I'm a victim as well. I can't speak for them. I've never spoken for them, and my website specifically stated that I'm not responsible for anything they say. I am only responsible for what I say, and all I say is help us fight back and get in touch, email address, website. How's that harassing? What on that can be considered harassment? But there you go. Anyway, it says, you've waged a lengthy campaign. I haven't waged anything. I'm fighting for justice. And I'm sorry if my disability means it takes me a long time to do things, to process things, to action things, to deal with things. I have comorbidity autism. I find it difficult, and you are making it harder. That's not my fault. I'm disabled. And to accuse me of something is outrageous. It says, in your various email publications, blah, 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 you make deliberate attacks. Now, I make claims that I am a victim of crime and a whistleblower on crime. And the police are doing nothing about it, and Katy Bourne, who's responsible for the police, aren't helping. Those are the claims I've always made. Simple as that. Then it talks about the prohibited and harassment, and they say it's very difficult to envisage where a court of former conduct wouldn't be in breach. You only have a defence if you establish a burden of proof on you. The conduct falls within the exceptions, and I'll cover that in my email, which I'll go through in a second. What's really upsetting and concerning is that they say the above activities is irrational, perverse and abusive and grossly unreasonable. Sorry, a disabled victim of crime complaining they're not getting the services needed to get justice, and continuing to try and seek support and funding to take legal action against someone in elected public office who I, from my experience, feels is not doing their job. How is that irrational, perverse, abusive or grossly unreasonable? I think that's very rational and extremely reasonable for a disabled victim of crime in my position to be campaigning for justice. Apparently not according to Sussex Police and Weightmans. And then it talks about they've instructed me to do all this, and I'll say I'll cover stuff that I've done, and within 14 days, I mean, they show complete ignorance and complete and utter incompetence in understanding how the internet works. Google Cache. Yeah, you might be able to go to Google and tell it to remove content. It doesn't have to. It's its search engine. You think I have control over what Google does in their search engine? I have control what it does and doesn't index, how long it takes to de-index, or how long it takes to re-index. That I can control when it deletes something from its cache. Some arbitrary timestamp that these people think I should be able to do it within. It's ridiculous. Of course you can't. It's not my search engine. I have no control over it. I can make requests through Google tools to remove content, to update their cache, to re-index pages. I can't make them. And you clearly don't understand that the internet doesn't quite work like that. You do know that Google is not one computer sitting there that everyone in the world connects to. It's a distributed system across mirrors, load balancing, multiple data centers holding duplicate copies all around the world, which is why when one person does a search in one part of the country, another person does a search in another part of the country, they might not get the same results. And that's not just because of personalized searches that are involved that Google does, depending on, as you know, cookies in your previous history. It also is to do with, depends on which data center you hit and what state their database is in, and the data that's being held conditions in, and so the cache and stuff. And not only that, you do know that ISPs, internet service providers, cache pages, so when people like me say go to the web and go to get a page, my ISP, my internet provider, might go, oh, I've already got that website, rather than using up bandwidth and traffic across the network, I'll show him the page that I've got. Not to mention, each person's browser has its own copy, and that's every browser on that person's computer. And if they're not connected to the internet and they go to a page that happens to be in their cache, they'll be shown the page that's on their computer. And you think I have control and power to delete what's on people's browsers? I mean, it's just ridiculous. How can you possibly take me to court and expect me to do something that is impossible for me to do? But, regardless of the ridiculousness of their request, I'll now go through the email that I'm responding as with my official response to this and everyone that I've now copied in, and I shall now go through that now. Okay, this is the email response. Attached to it, I'm actually including the original that I've just shown you, the letter that I received, plus a copy of my autism diagnosis, confirmation that I have comorbidity autism. So their attack on me is actually disability discrimination if they don't acknowledge now that my behaviour is not irrational and it is not abusive I am disabled and I have trouble expressing myself, and I have trouble explaining myself, and I may use words that you think I mean one thing and I don't, and a whole load of other traits that go with the 3 disabilities that I have. And to discriminate against me and to accuse me of being a criminal for it, I'm now a criminal because I have a disability? Come on, people, look what they're saying and what they're doing. I shall now go through the letter. Please can you explain why Katy Bourne has now embarked on a campaign of terrorising and threatening a comorbidity autistic victim of crime, campaigning for justice against corruption in the Sussex Police force that includes the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner? Now, what I will say is, I use the word corruption, misfeasance and malfeasance. Now, I thought they all meant the same thing. I don't want to offend anyone. I don't mean it to be abusive, harassing anyone or threatening anyone. I'm trying to say that these people in their positions are not doing as they were meant to, and they're not assisting me, and I wish to do something about that. And I am trying to explain it and do it in the best way I can. From now on, moving forwards, I shall only use the word misconduct, because the barrister from the Legal Ombudsman has been referred 3 times to the Standards Board for misconduct. So if the Legal Ombudsman and the legal profession considers the word misconduct acceptable when someone in a professional position, let alone an elected position and the position of power that Katy Bourne has, doesn't behave in the way that they should, is considered misconduct. So I will use that moving forward, and I apologise if the misfeasance, malfeasance, corruption has upset someone somehow. I'm just trying to explain and express myself as best I can. It is not done out of malice, and it is not done out of perversion, and it is not done to deliberately cause distress, alarm or anything else. I'm the one suffering serious distress and alarm at the moment. Let's not forget that. So, as I say, I use the word because obviously this is referring to them and the content, but moving forward we'll just use the word misconduct from now on, okay? So, I have produced more than enough evidence to prove that a perverted police officer making comments with regard to aspiring to sexually exploit vulnerable women in the presence of the witness Marilyn Smith of victim support, of which I also have an audio recording, while this officer and accomplice failed to provide me with police assistance required to obtain justice. This is a fact, and I've already covered that when I met with victim support over in Shoreham with PC Danny Williamson and Leanne Knowles, I think it was, the PCSO that was with them. All they did was laugh in my face, make lewd comments about sexually exploiting women, and trying to make excuses for file sharing naked pictures. Made loads of promises to my face about follow-up meetings and crime numbers and what have you, and I never got any of it. And that is a fact, and I've already done the video that covers that. So I've not said anything that is not true. Simple as. I have produced more than enough evidence to prove I was bullied and abused, exploited and threatened, including arson threat, along with threats of being fitted up with crimes, including malicious false accusations / communications, which is witness intimidation and victimisation, of which the Sussex Police are involved in covering up, and I have applied to the courts for the release of the details of the assailant involved, because I applied for the police subject access request for the information of who contacted the police and told them that I was at home alone with a daughter when I'm married with a son, and I had social services turning up and what have you. You know, I'm mentally unstable and all this stuff. It's complete malicious, vindictive, harassing communications, and the police have blacked it out when I've asked for freedom of information request and won't tell me who it was. There's someone perpetrating serious crimes against me and the police are covering it up. That's a fact, literally covering it up. Redacted. That is a fact. I've already covered that in another video. I have had a corrupt solicitor and barrister embezzle my money, where there is still an ongoing investigation by the Legal Ombudsman against the barrister, where the Legal Ombudsman has referred the barrister to the Barrister Standards Board for misconduct. Okay? Which is true. They were both involved in making a threat of my life being taken. Again, I've just done that in my previous video. Intimidation, fraud, misrepresentation, discrimination, promoting the course of justice, and the solicitor is now engaged in trying to extort more money from me, which again, my evidence clearly corroborates. And it's really important to know that Ninish Edwards, who's part of the police crime panel, who said that they were going to liaise with Katy Bourne regarding my complaint, I sent him a copy because the court copied him in when I replied to the courts, and then suddenly I get another court threat come through on top of the one from the solicitors now making that I'm having to defend. Continue. I have a ton of evidence proving my employer was abusing, threatening, exploiting me as a disabled employee, as well as involved in hacking, fraud, discrimination, theft, disability, hate crimes, including slavery, not to mention file sharing naked pictures of children. And I should point out that regarding all this, remember, I am a computer expert with over 20 years experience working with computers. I was at this company 14 years. I worked myself up from joining the company when there was only 4 employees to being head of IT with over 30 employees. I wrote all the computer systems, implemented all the IT system infrastructure. I mean, literally cabled in new computer cabling, patch panels, network switches, built computers, servers, maintained and managed them, and you know, I did everything. I was the IT department. 14 years made head of IT. Therefore, that makes me an expert witness in that field. I am a credible person making these claims as an expert computer head of IT, victim of crime. I am autistic, and I am a victim, and I am an expert when it comes to me talking about what happened at work regarding the IT. Unless the courts and Katy Bourne are now going to claim that anyone that has autism cannot be a professional or an expert in their field. Is that what you are saying? I'll continue. All of which Sussex Police are involved in refusing to assist me with in order to obtain justice and hold these criminals to account, claiming that the following is a civil matter: hacking, fraud, theft, breaches in data protection and FCA regulations, illegal marketing activities, abusing, threatening, manipulating, exploiting autism sufferer, file sharing naked pictures of children, perverting the course of justice, criminal negligence, witness intimidation and victimisation, including arson threat, disability discrimination, disability hate crimes, extortion, embezzlement. Which clearly is not a civil matter, and I might add falls within the defence exemptions guidelines you provided under the Harassment Act 1997. The solicitor's currently trying to extort more money out of me. They've already embezzled my money. They intimidated me. I've had them involved in sending someone around to make an arson threat against me. Perverting the course of justice. I caught them file sharing naked pictures of children. They got me by threatening that they would fit me up with crimes if I didn't, to hack the regulator's website. They hoodwinked me into falsifying data they were reporting back to the FCA. Fraud. I mean, how they can possibly claim that that's a civil matter? Of course it's not. They're blocking me from getting justice. That's why I then went to Katy Bourne to hold a police force to account, and she's now embarked on a terror campaign against me to try and turn me into a criminal for seeking justice. So, and therefore, her police force, and by extension Katy Bourne, are involved in blocking a disabled victim of crime getting police services and obtaining justice, especially as no one has ever taken an official statement regarding any of my complaints from me, which is a breach of my rights under the Victims Code, which again adds weight and evidence to my case against Sussex Police and the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner. That's true. No one's ever taken a statement from me. The amount of letters I've written to them and complaints I've put in and emails I've sent, and websites I've built and flyers I've posted out, and think about it, I'm doing everything I can to try and get justice as a disabled victim of crime. And no one's even come around to take a statement from me. And yet when I ask for my own police information with who's perpetrating these crimes from me, they cover it all up and won't tell me who it is. I've now written a letter to the courts specifically asking them to release this information. I'm waiting for a response from them. So I'll continue. I have done nothing to deliberately cause anyone alarm and distress, and it is absurd for you to claim otherwise, especially considering it is I who is the victim of these crimes and am also a sufferer of anxiety-based comorbidity autism, dyspraxia, Asperger's syndrome, ADHD, and it is Katy Bourne's current action via yourselves that has caused severe distress and alarm, not the other way round, and unless you acknowledge my disability and treat me accordingly as a disabled victim of crime under the Equality Act, you are guilty of not only harassment causing severe distress, alarm and anxiety, but also disability discrimination. You also seem to make claims of having powers of telepathy regarding what I am and am not aware of, and require you to produce evidence to back up your statement as I have no idea what you are talking about. I am aware of many things. What is it exactly you are accusing me of? Ninish Edwards of the Police Crime Panel is meant to be assisting me with getting me the police services and assistance required from the Commissioner's office in order to obtain justice, but instead it would seem is involved in threatening and intimidating a disabled victim of crime rather than assisting them in these matters, as your attached letter appears to indicate. I can produce the evidence to corroborate these statements. I mean, I've got loads of emails I've sent and communications backwards and forwards from Ninesh. So I request Ninesh Edwards explains themselves as to why, instead of the help I have requested and they implied I would receive, they have ignored my correspondence, and I have instead received these threats causing severe distress due to my disability, of which I wish to make an official complaint against Katy Bourne regarding, who is clearly bigoted towards me and my disability, as well as ignorant as to how her disgraceful actions would affect me, unless of course this is deliberate, malicious and calculated, and therefore constitutes harassment under the Harassment Act. I sent a copy when I emailed the court to Ninesh Edwards regarding the fact that solicitors now trying to extort more money through a claim. And then suddenly, instead of getting the support he was going to provide me, I suddenly get another court case thrown at me. Well, come on. Just stating the facts, pointing it out. I have therefore copied in the court who I am currently engaged with due to a current court case I am fighting against a criminal solicitor who is involved in these crimes, which has been reported to Sussex Police and who have done nothing to assist me, which raises the question whether Katy Bourne and yourselves were aware of this fact, and if so, would imply this is a malicious and coordinated attack, making you and Katy Bourne the ones who are part of a malicious organised gang, not me. So, if they knew, and they've deliberately fired another one at me, knowing my autism, knowing the stress and anxiety it's causing, knowing everything I'm going through, knowing I'm a victim of crime, knowing I'm fighting to seek justice, accuse me of being in some group I haven't got a clue what they're talking about. I'm not organised anything. I'm doing what I can to fight for justice. The best way I can, the only way I know how. It's me, fighting for justice as a victim, as I'm entitled to, and I want to hold everyone to account who's not helping me, whose job it is to help me. It's as simple as that. Show me where I've done anything other than that. This is why I've started a campaign to hold the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner to account for failing to assist me in these matters, which due to her position is malfeasance, misfeasance in public office. These are demonstrable facts, and I have done nothing to harass anyone. Nothing I have said in any of my communications is untrue, and I request you to provide evidence to the contrary. In fact, it is you who have made false accusations against me, as well as making false claims that I am in some type of organised group, which I deny vehemently and demand you provide evidence to corroborate. I am not a member of any organised group, gang, political party or affiliation, and you cannot threaten and intimidate someone making malicious and wildly unfounded accusations without any evidence to back it up, especially when I am simply stating demonstrable facts and have the evidence to prove it. This is an abuse of power and position, as well as a misuse of taxpayers' money, which again I believe is considered malfeasance / misfeasance in office. But please do feel free to correct me if you think I am wrong. However, let me help you, and what I've done is I have put in some links. There we go. Misfeasance in office is a cause of action in a civil court of England and Wales and certain Commonwealth countries. It is an action against a holder of public office, alleging in essence that the office holder has misused or misabused their power. You can also see abuse of power, malfeasance in office, misfeasance. So you see this connection. I'm trying to say that it's her job to assist me and make sure that her police force assists me as a disabled victim of crime, and she's not. In fact, she's embarked on a campaign now against me to turn me into a criminal for seeking justice. And let's fire that one up. Malfeasance. And it says, under English law, misconduct or misfeasance, you see, it uses misfeasance in public office is an offence at common law. So it's common law that dates back till 13th century. And as it says under here, a public officer acting as such wilfully neglects to perform one duty or wilfully misconducts oneself. Neglects to perform one's duty, and her duty is to ensure that her police officers assist victims of crime, especially disabled victims of crime, and yet she's not doing that. My understanding, I know I'm using wiki, but my understanding is that that's the words you use: misfeasance, malfeasance, misconduct. As I say, moving forward, I'll just use the word misconduct because because I don't want anyone thinking that I'm delivering. Ah, you're taking backhanders and bribes, and I've never said anything of that. And if that's what people are thinking when I'm saying corruption or misfeasance or malfeasance, then you are misunderstanding what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to use the word for not performing your job in public office. Willfully neglects to perform one's duty. It's okay? Don't try and make it out to be anything than it is. That's not harassment. That's me trying to state a fact that I believe and wish to raise some money so I can take the matter further legally through the courts, because I have a common law right in which to do that that dates back to the 13th century. How's that harassment? But let's just go to the CPS. Definition of the offence. Wilfully neglects to perform his duty or wilfully misconducts themselves, and to such a degree as amount to an abuse of the public's trust in the office holder. Well, I think if she continually doesn't hold her police force to account for supporting victims of crime and giving assistance to victims of crime, then the public are going to lose trust in her. I've lost trust in her. Why shouldn't I have lost trust in her? Why should I not believe that she is willfully neglecting to perform her duties the way she's behaving when I am a disabled victim of crime simply asking for your assistance to get justice? Nothing more. Prove that I am doing anything other than that. And it's outrageous for anyone to accuse me otherwise. So I continue. It is also absurd for you to try to claim a criminal offence against me for publicly claiming a belief in misconduct for a civil offence. Which is why this threat against me, the reason given and the facts surrounding the crimes I am exposing and am a victim of is rather quite telling, which I'm sure many will agree, especially as malfeasance is a common law offence, which apparently dates back to the 13th century, which I would like noted the fact, so is perverting the course of justice, obstruction of justice, which is what I'm having done to me. I am being obstructed from receiving justice from everyone involved. That's a common law offence, the same as malfeasance in office. What's the problem? Oh, it's okay if you perpetrate the crime against me under the common law of perverting the course of justice or obstructing justice, but it's not alright for me to claim or state that you're doing that under common law. I'll continue. I am simply trying to obtain justice for the criminal way I have been abused and exploited, and I now wish to add Jelly Jones to my complaint of those who are threatening and intimidating me. So I have copied in PSD, Police Standards Department, so they can add you to my complaint. I mean, I've added so many people to this complaint, I never hear back from the police. It's a civil matter, ignore me. And John Wedger spoke to me about this, and he says, yeah, that's the modus operandi. I'll just fob them off, tell them it's a civil matter. Just to make them go away. And he's called out as a Met officer, claiming that the Met Police are involved in paedophile rings, that 10,000 kids go missing every weekend from children's homes, and that he had contacted Caressa Dick. That's how far up he's claiming is involved in at least a cover-up. I'm not saying that they're involved in the paedophile ring, but at least a cover-up of those that are involved. And that's John Wedger, and he's come out and he was interviewed, and it's out there in the public domain, and he's running his own campaign, and he's an ex-copper claiming these things against the police, and all I'm doing is a victim of crime saying this police crime commissioner, my police crime commissioner, isn't doing her job and assisting me or making sure her police officers assist me, and suddenly I'm a criminal. Or they're trying to make me a criminal for seeking justice. Is everyone now believing what I'm saying? You can see for yourself, I've not made anything up. So I'll continue. I also wish the courts to accept this as an official complaint against Jelly Jones for harassment and intimidation of a disabled victim of crime. I have attached my official diagnosis confirming my disability, so there is no mistake that I have severe comorbidity autism, and expect all reasonable adjustment to be implemented to ensure I receive fair representation to defend against this disgusting attempt to intimidate and harass me. I request the courts provide me with information on how I can enforce a cease and desist action against the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner for a vexatious threat against a disabled victim of crime. Because that's what it is. I mean, you can imagine how I felt with everything else that's going on. And, you know, the fact that I'm a disabled victim of crime fighting for justice. That I am in the middle of trying to prove a corrupt solicitor and barrister are involved in derailing my case and making my money disappear and not following directions and what have you. So I don't want to go too much into that, but I'm fighting that, and now suddenly they slap me with this. It's outrageous. I am the disabled victim of crime and I can prove it. So if you want me in court to produce all this evidence that they were file sharing naked pictures of children, that I can prove they've lied to the courts about it and you've done nothing about it, Katy Bourne, fine. I'm more than happy to produce this evidence in court. No problem. I've been trying to do this for a very long time. I will bring all my evidence to court, and I am happy to show you that I am a victim of crime and a whistleblower, and I am telling the truth and have the evidence to prove it. I've been blocked this entire time for over 2 years now from getting to court, producing my evidence and getting the justice I deserve. And I am more than happy to bring it all to court and show everyone. That's not a problem. Just tell me the date. I am not lying or making this up, and how dare you accuse me otherwise. That is what's perverted and disgraceful and disgusting. Not me. I have a right to protest, as well as petition. I have a right to seek justice, and I have a right to stand up against corruption and misconduct in public office. I also have a right to draw attention to my campaign and seek support, which I wish noted currently has nearly 4,000 supporters and growing, which I can produce the signatures as evidence if required. As you all should know, I'm running a petition on change.org to ensure that there is a fund and support services implemented to assist people like me in getting justice, because at the moment I'm being denied it. Therefore, I have nearly 4,000 people who support me and my campaign, not to mention hundreds of social media supporters, all who agree with my aims and goals to ensure disabled victims of crime receive the support and funding and justice they deserve, versus your one so-called snowflake complaint for receiving a flyer in their letterbox that simply asked 3 questions and a factual statement and had a web/email address. I would suggest they act the same as everyone else, including myself, who receives unwanted mail through their letterbox and put it in the recycle bin like a normal, conscientious citizen would do. I mean, you get that through your letterbox. It's not offensive. It's just got a few, you know, I'm trying to hold them to account in office. Yeah, that's fair. They're in public office. They're accountable. I asked 3 questions. If you're a disabled victim of crime, so I've gone through this. Sussex Police, failing in their services. Help us fight back. Email address. I don't see how that's offensive or harassment. Junk mail? Well, yeah, perhaps. That's what you do. Chuck it in the recycle bin. What's the problem? What, now I'm a criminal? The only offence that could possibly be taken is them to consider it junk mail, which I was not aware was a criminal offence of harassment and malicious communications, unlike your attached letter that falsely accuses me of doing something I have not, which forms part of my claim. complaint under the Weightmans LLP complaints process, of which I request a copy and details of who the complaints handler is. I want to know who I make a complaint against for sending me this. I will now be making your threats public in order to show the validity of my campaign and to protect me and my family, as I have already had people threaten my life, including of arson, which Katy Bourne has done nothing about, but instead is now involved in making further threats against me, which is a demonstrable fact, which I have a right to put in the public domain under the Public Interest Disclosure Act. And that's exactly what I'm doing. As I am an official disabled autistic whistleblower recognised by HM Court and Tribunal Service, remember I had a case going to court, I know it got derailed and I made it, but exposing serious corruption, including a company engaged in file sharing naked pictures of children, which is paedophilia, to name but one of the many crimes that they were and quite possibly are still engaged in, who have also borne false witness to the courts in official court documents regarding the existence of these naked pictures of children, and then embarked on making an arson threat against me and my family for trying to seek justice and exposing their crimes. Just think about it. I'm a witness to these crimes. I am a victim of these crimes. I report these crimes. I get tried to take court action. I get arson threats against me, other life threats against me, being fitted up with crime and all this, and I can't get the police to do anything about it. They were file sharing naked pictures of children. And now I'm being told that putting this in the public domain and trying to seek justice was a criminal offence. Did you know being a disabled victim of crime was a criminal offence? The fact Katy Bourne has now embarked on the terrorisation of a severely disabled autistic person through malicious and false accusations in order to stop them seeking justice against criminals involved in paedophilia as well as other serious crimes that her police force are clearly involved in protecting simply adds weight to my campaign and forms my defence under the Harassment Act. I think it speaks volumes with regard to my claims of malfeasance, misfeasance in office, which is my right to seek legal redress regarding under civil and common law. This is a fact. I'm not, what? How's this harassment? I'm stating a fact. Please note that several weeks ago, 24th of April 2019, I officially requested contact from the Disability Liaison Officer, Jacqueline Cutter. Copied in on this email, which was acknowledged by the Data Protection Unit in relation to these crimes, and the malicious communications made against me, as well as the police redaction of the assailant who committed this crime. And I am still waiting to be contacted, just like I have been waiting months and months for a response and assistance from SPCC Katy Bourne, as well as Ninish Edwards of the Police Crime Panel, not to mention Louise Gilbert, the Sussex Police Crime Commissioner's assistant. I have also included in this correspondence the Solicitor Regulation Authority, as I wish this to be an official complaint against Weightmans LLP. So the Solicitor Regulation Authority are copied in because I want this to be an official complaint against them. There they make semi-threatening letter, making false accusations against me. I've also copied in DWP, Department of Work and Pensions, so that the Honourable Justin Tomlinson, MP Minister of State for Disabled People, Work and Health, is aware of what the Sussex Police and the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner is involved in regarding a disabled victim of crime and their treatment thereof. I have also copied in Anthony Stansfield, Thames Valley and Crime Commissioner, as I feel this needs to be brought to the attention of an external police force for a proper and thorough investigation, which I am more than happy to fully cooperate with. And that's obviously, I'm aware of Noel Edmonds' campaign and claims against the Police Crime Commissioner and Lloyds Bank. What's going on there? I don't know if you know what's going on. If not, go and look it up. But he has stated that Thames Valley and Anthony Stansfield is the only police force to ever bring legal action and prosecutions against corruption in financial services. And also, when I was interviewed with Caroline Stevens in her Seeking the Truth interview that I did, that 3-part interview, she stated that should we get Anthony Stansfield to investigate Sussex Police. And she gave me the impression that he was an alright guy that would be willing or is likely to consider investigating something like this. So I appeal to you, Anthony Stansfield. I want to speak with you about all this. I would like an external force to understand what's going on, the crimes I'm reporting, the crimes I'm a victim of, what my evidence can prove, what's been going on, the failure of the police force in Sussex to assist me and the Police Crime Commissioner, and I will discuss anything with you, including whatever the hell you've blacked out on my police record that I'm apparently not allowed to know. Get in touch. I will talk to you about anything. I'm not making this up. I've also copied in ACAS and EASS, which is the Equality Advisory Support Service. They're like the conciliation service, apparently, or that's what the impression you get when you go to their website. But it turns out that they don't actually do anything. But I've copied them in because they're supposed to be the same as ACAS, but for the disability side of things, to show willingness to involve conciliation services to assist in this matter, and I've always been willing. In fact, ACAS told me that ACAS were involved, because obviously I had to go to ACAS before I could go to the Employment Tribunal. I had to go to ACAS and then get a certificate number, and you can't go to the Employment Tribunal without this certificate number. But ACAS told me categorically that ACAS was still in force and you could mediate through ACAS right until the point you walk through the court doors. Once you walk into court, that's it, ACAS is over. Can't ever help you. That's it, you're in court. Well, I never got to court. So where are you, ACAS? Where is any conciliation service helping me to deal with this and liaise with these people to get a satisfactory outcome and some justice? I am more than willing to involve any conciliation service needed to liaise with me and to help all those involved sort this out. Where are you? I've copied you in. It's up to you. I am more than happy to speak with you about this. I therefore offer Katy Bourne the chance to meet and discuss my situation and help provide me with the police services I am entitled to as a disabled victim of crime in order to facilitate fair treatment and justice, which would therefore negate the need for my continued campaign to hold her to account, something I have no intention of stopping until this is received. I want justice. I'm going to keep campaigning for justice until I receive justice. So are you willing to help me get justice, Katy? Because I'm willing for you to help me. That's what I'm trying to do. But if you're not going to do that, and you're going to block me, and you're going to stop me, and you're going to neglect your duty, well, then I'm going to do what I can to try and hold you to account. Because that's what I'm allowed to do. That's what I'm entitled to do. That's what any victim of crime would want to do. Get justice and hold those that are stopping you from getting justice to account, especially if they're elected officials. That's normal. It's not irrational. That's normal. So we're nearly finished. So I didn't want this to be too long, but obviously it's a long email. Now is the chance for Katy Bourne and her police force to provide me, a genuine disabled victim of crime, the services and assistance needed and entitled to under the law to obtain justice against criminals, rather than embarking on a terror campaign of threats and intimidation to block a disabled victim of crime from obtaining justice, which is by definition misfeasance, malfeasance in office, as you saw. Dereliction of duty or failing to act to do a job. As I say, I'm just going to call it misconduct from now on. Make it simple and not distress anyone. Her actions and response to this communication will prove whether she assists disabled victims of crime and ensure they are provided with the police services they are entitled to, which she so publicly purports to provide and champion, because she does. She has big campaigns going on about how she supports disabled people get justice. Well, where is it then? Where's the support I'm entitled to, and you keep campaigning, you champion, to get me justice? I'm still waiting. Please provide it. So I'll continue. In order for them to receive justice, or is in fact guilty of misfeasance, malfeasance in office, engaged in threatening and intimidating disabled victims of crime in order to silence them and stop them from exposing serious crimes such as the abuse of the disabled, fraud, hacking, witness intimidation and victimisation, perverting the course of justice, not to mention the file sharing of naked pictures of children. It really is that simple. Let me make one thing crystal clear. I am truly sorry if Katy Bourne has been the victim of genuine harassment, and I am. I know what it's like to be a victim. but it is outrageous to imply this had anything to do with me. She is in elected public office and is accountable, and I have a right to seek justice as a disabled victim of crime and make criticism of those who are accountable. This current action is wholly disproportionate and extremely excessive, especially considering the fact I am the disabled victim in all this, not her. And it is her elected position of office that has an obligational duty to assist me. And if she is not able to provide this due to her trauma, then perhaps she should move aside and make way for someone who is, as I know only too well what it is like to lose a successful job and lengthy career simply for being a victim of crime. Please note, in the interim, I have implemented changes to adhere in some way to the request as an attempt to show willingness to listen and adjust in order to not cause distress or alarm, and request reasonable adjustment in order to show me the same courtesy. I look forward to meeting with you to discuss this further. Craig, yours sincerely, Craig John. So I'll just quickly run through. There you go. Ninesh Edwards of the Police Crime Panel, the Police Crime Panel main email address, the Courts Inquiries and the Complaints Courts Department, justice.gov, the Police Standards Department for Sussex, the Solicitors Regulation Authority, the Minister of DWP, the Police Crime Commissioner for Thames Valley, Jacqueline Cutter, the Disability Liaison Officer, ACAS, and the EASS, the Quality Advisory Support Service. There you go. So that's my response. I think it's fair. I've not done anything wrong. I've not deliberately harassed or attacked anyone. I am simply a disabled victim of crime who is struggling to get services for justice. It's that simple, and I think it's fair that I should be able to hold people in office to account if they're not doing their job, and to try and criminalise anyone who tries to hold someone in public office to account is criminal. You know, how they can possibly think it's acceptable to start terrorising and threatening to put a criminal conviction on a disabled victim of crime for being a disabled victim of crime who is speaking out and trying to seek justice. I have been more than fair. I have been upfront. I have gone and changed the website. Sussex Police corruption doesn't exist. I told you. I'm not going to be calling it corruption, misfeasance, malfeasance. Well, sorry, I will use misfeasance because, as it says, it's a civil, and that's what you can accuse someone of a civil offence. It's not criminal, remember? Civil. Misfeasance. But you see, but if they're upset that I use the word corruption or malfeasance, obviously this is all my interpretation of those words, not trying to harass or cause anyone upset. The only people that has been upset and harassed is me, by the police, by their actions, by the way they've dealt with this, by the criminals, the way they've abused me, by the court systems that are allowing the continued abuse of me without giving me any assistance or support, no matter how many times I ask for it, no matter how many times I reply to their correspondence, no matter how many times I write complaints, and I'm just trying to hold people to account to get some justice. And I thank everyone for their support. I thank everyone who signed the petition. Please continue. And if you can now see that this is real, that I need some help and support from you guys out there, please go and support the crowdfunding campaign and help me fight this and get some justice. Do you really think people in office should not be held to account, and anyone that tries to hold them to account should be criminalised? That disabled victims of crime seeking justice and speaking out when they don't receive it are criminals harassing people? Do you not see what's going on here? Please help me fight this and stand up against it. This can't continue. All I want is some justice, and that is something I am entitled to, and to try and block me is a dereliction of duty and misconduct in public office. It's that simple. Goodbye. This content has been brought to you by the Public Interest Disclosure Act 1998.